Hello, class. Today we're going to go over week 2 of our Foundations of Crisis and Trauma class. And week 2, we're going to focus on social, cultural, and systemic factors that influence trauma. Thelma Duffy and Shane Haberstraw, who wrote the textbook that we're using, says trauma doesn't happen in isolation. It occurs within systems, communities, and relationships that shape both our pain and our healing. Trauma is never only personal, it is profoundly shaped by the social, cultural, and systemic context in which people live. Every client carries stories embedded in identity, history, and community. Culture determines what is named as trauma, what is silenced, and what is seen as strength. Our work as counselors requires us to listen beyond the individual narrative to the environments and power structures that have shaped it. To self, reclaiming identity and personal narrative. To culture, honoring traditions and collective wisdom. And to community, rebuilding belonging, and support. Our learning objectives for week 2 will be to explain social and systemic influences, so understand how social, cultural, and systemic factors influence trauma and recovery, examine how counselor identity and bias impact the therapeutic process, and implement ethical approaches that foster resilience and healing within diverse communities. Collective trauma leaves physiological, neurological, and relational imprints that echo across generations. Stories of survival and adaptation is passed down through families and cultures. And with contextual understanding, when we meet a client, we're also meeting their community's history. So what is historical trauma? Historical trauma describes the cumulative emotional and psychological wounding experienced by a group across generations. It often stems from systemic injustice, forced displacement, or oppression. Indigenous, Black, and immigrant communities may experience intergenerational grief, identity, fragmentation, and mistrust of institutions. We will discuss and explore how to approach with humility and view each client as the expert on their own lived experience. This week, you'll examine your own and identify and explore your cultural identities, biases, and blind spots shaped by upbringing and training. Together, we will question our assumptions and check within to see if we unconsciously expect clients to heal in ways that reflect our own worldview. Lastly, by recognizing power dynamics, we will understand that power and privilege show up in every therapeutic interaction. Hartling and Lindner, 2017, remind us that trauma counseling extends into advocacy. We can reduce re-traumatization by creating equitable systems and promoting compassionate social change. This week's readings connect trauma theory with cultural responsiveness through ecological systems theory, intersectionality, and relational cultural theory. When you analyze cases or write reflections, consider how these frameworks expand your understanding of the client's lived context and the systems surrounding them. This week we'll have a reflection assignment. For your cultural lens reflections, you can choose to demonstrate your understanding of cultural and systemic influences on trauma through either a creative project or written reflection. You have freedom. For either the visual project or reflective narrative, you will analyze a cultural group or community that has experienced collective trauma. Describe how cultural beliefs, community structures, and historical context shape coping, resilience, and access to healing. Discuss culturally responsive interventions. Some guiding questions could be, how does culture shape how people define and experience trauma or crisis? What assumptions or biases do I bring to my understanding of trauma and healing? How can counselors integrate cultural humility and responsiveness into trauma-informed care? I look forward to seeing you in class. And as always, if you need me, please feel free to email me. Talk to you soon.